Hey guys, James here, and welcome back to my channel. For the last 6 months, I've been the very proud and happy owner of this 2021 Chevrolet Camaro LT1. And when I originally got this car, a lot of my friends were asking me, what has gotten into you, James? They knew that in the past, I was a Mustang guy. In fact, I had two Mustangs. I had a 2012 black Mustang V6, followed up by a 2014 Mustang GT with the amazing Kona blue paint color. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what came over me, what possessed me to switch over to Camp Camaro when I was looking for my latest muscle car last year. Let's start with the biggest reason of all, and that is the handling of the Camaro. Simply put, the current generation of Camaro has this incredible handling balance while also retaining a pretty good ride. A few years back, in late 2017, my buddy and I went on a little road trip where we rented a Camaro SS and a Mustang GT, and those were both of the current generation vehicles. Driving those cars back to back, he and I were both very surprised at how much sharper and more balanced the handling was in the Camaro versus the Mustang. We were surprised at how much smaller the Camaro felt than the Mustang when driving on windy roads, even though both cars have nearly identical dimensions, with the one notable exception being that the Mustang actually has a smaller wheelbase by about 3.5 inches, which is actually kind of significant. Despite that longer wheelbase, the Camaro actually felt more nimble on curvy roads. I would describe the Camaro's handling balance as being just slightly leaning towards understeer, and that's actually really good because when you're driving hard, as you enter a turn, it gives you options. You can kind of trail brake your way into the turn, and on the way out, you can get on the power that much more because the back end is not just going to completely step out on you. Because the handling qualities of this car come from a really well-designed chassis and not just from, really stiff suspension, you actually don't lose that much ride quality as a result of the good handling. It is true that the Mustang GT is more comfortable than the Camaro LT1, but the Camaro LT1 I would describe as having kind of a European style comfort. What I mean by that is that, yes, the car is firm, but it's comfortable because it's not crashing over bad pavement or like shuddering over bumps. It just encounters a bump and dispatches with it and doesn't have a lot of excess motion or NVH beyond that initial whomp as the car absorbs the bump. So even though the Mustang is more comfortable than the Camaro, I find the Camaro to be just fine because I quite like that European style firmness / comfort. On a related note, the Camaro's EPS steering system is one of the best that I've driven in recent years. It has actually a pretty good amount of feel. And by contrast, the Mustang isn't quite there. In my experience, the Mustang has better kind of centering behavior in the steering, meaning if you're just cruising down the freeway, long distances, it really reduces the amount of fatigue that you experience because it just really readily holds that steering nice and straight. But in my opinion, the Camaro steering comes out on top. There's just a lot more feel that comes through the wheel, and the way that the weight kind of loads up as you turn off center feels a lot more natural in the Camaro. The really wonderful driving experience in a Camaro, mainly in the handling and steering departments, was the main reason that I opted for the Camaro over the Mustang. But I'll share with you a couple more reasons that are kind of the icing on the cake. One of those reasons is that last year, 2021, as I was looking at Camaro versus Mustang, the Camaro came standard with wireless CarPlay, and the Mustang didn't. I happen to love the underlying thought process or philosophy behind GM infotainment systems in modern years. And that is that GM is the only automaker, to my knowledge, that is humble enough to say, look, we are not software engineers. That's not our area of expertise. So what we're going to do is we're going to make an infotainment system that's extremely simple, extremely reliable, no fancy graphics, just a black background, white text, 16-bit color, and we're going to put wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto front and center. So this car came with wireless CarPlay as standard, which last year the Mustang didn't. For 2022, things have improved for the Ford side of the equation, and that's because, well, I've been told by an employee at a local Ford dealership that all the Mustangs now come with Sync 4. And as part of Sync 4, they all have wireless connectivity for CarPlay and Android Auto. And the final reason that I ultimately converted to Camp Camaro is the fact that the interior of the Camaro is more snug than the interior of the Mustang. If you read reviews of the Camaro versus Mustang, you'll see a lot of journalists complaining about just how snug this interior is. But for me, that's great. I'm 5'7", and so this interior feels just right. It feels a little bit like my Miata interior, which is awesome because it fits me like a glove. In the Mustang, I felt like I was always perched on top of the vehicle, whereas in the Camaro, I feel more in it. For most of you viewers out there, I will readily admit that this is actually a disadvantage of the Camaro. The Mustang, I think, is a better fit for the average American male, which, let's be honest, most of you guys watching this are male. But if you are a little bit shorter, like me, the Camaro could be a lot better. And frankly, the way that a car fits around your body is one of the most underrated aspects of both comfort and sportiness in a car. If you're driving in a car that's a little too big for you, like the way I felt when I drove the current BMW 5 Series and, the Ford Mustang, then you can never quite get comfortable because you're always kind of perched kind of precariously on the seat and your feet don't quite reach the pedals and whatnot. Or if you are a taller person and you're in a Miata, that's not going to feel great either. And on the sportiness side, if you're sliding around on the seat, if you don't feel snug and like held into the seat, you can't possibly drive a car in a sporty manner. You won't feel that confidence because you won't feel connected to the car. That was the final factor that really nailed down the decision for me and led me to convert from Camp Mustang to Camp Camaro. If you're shopping between Mustangs and Camaros, or if you picked one up recently, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below what factors matter most to you and whether they kind of push you towards Mustangs or Camaros. That is all for today's video, so thank you so much for watching this video until the end. I really appreciate it, and if you made it this far, hit that like button to show your appreciation and to tell the YouTube algorithm that, hey, you enjoyed this video, and so send this out to other people who might enjoy it too. And if you're not subscribed yet, consider hitting that subscribe button to join our little community of people who love cars on this channel. Thank you for joining me today on this wonderful drive in the beautiful mountains east of San Diego. Again, my name is James, and I will see you in the next video.